Welcome to Stick to Sports. I'm Joey Polatsky.
And I'm Zach Malama. Today, Tatum is a hero in Boston. The Timberwolves win in Memphis, and the Yankees have major problems.
Roll it. The Boston Celtics took a tight one against the Brooklyn Nets yesterday, 115-114, in a game one that lived up to the hype in a series that's being advertised as one of the greatest 7 versus 2 matchups ever. Kyrie was hearing it from fans as well as giving it back to them in a 39-point outing, but Jason Tatum's buzzer-beating layup lifted the Celtics to victory. Zach, what's your opinion on the beef between the Celtics fans and Kyrie Irving?
It's pretty simple. Joe, you can't stomp on a team's logo and expect to get away with it. There's just some cities, New York, Philly, Boston, they don't like you. And if they don't, then they'll let you know. And that really happened in Boston yesterday. Kyrie wanted beef with the Celtics, though. He wanted to have some beef with Boston and the fan base there. Every former player has said the same thing, though. If you want to get back at them, just beat them. That's it. That's all you have to do. So don't respond to the crowd. Just beat them. They won't win this series, though, the Nets, unless Kyrie and KD go off. I don't know if that will happen in the same game.
Yeah, I mean, the history between Kyrie Irving and the Celtics goes back to when he was in Boston, obviously, promises to re-sign with them in the offseason in 2019. Then, his grandfather passes away. He wants to move back home, be closer to New Jersey, which I think any reasonable person can understand. Someone in your family passes, I want to go closer to home. Anyone can understand that. As soon as you get into sports, for some reason, diehard sports fans tend to think that entire idea just goes out the window for whatever apparent reason. So Kyrie goes there, obviously wants to be closer to home, steps on the Celtics logo, which you can argue is not right. Goes in the Garden last night, balls out. He was hearing it from fans, but he was chirping back. And if you're going to chirp back, you got to ball out. He did just that last night. Nets fell just short, but what a showing from Kyrie.
In the West, the 7th-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves grabbed a massive Game 1 win on the road against the Memphis Grizzlies on Saturday. The T-Wolves won 130-117 behind 36 points from Anthony Edwards in his first playoff game of his career. Karl Anthony Towns added 29 points and 13 rebounds for Minnesota, countering Ja Morant's 32 points for Memphis. Game 2 takes place tomorrow night in Memphis. Joey, with Minnesota up 1-0 in the series now, what are the chances the Wolves pull off the upset?
I think the Timberwolves definitely could pull off the upset. This, in my eyes, is the second most exciting series in the NBA first round behind the Celtics and the Nets. But this first game was just really unbelievable in terms of the firepower between Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns. The pace this game was going at, 2 of the highest scoring offenses in the league. It was an unbelievably fun game to watch. It was an absolute blast. I don't know if the T-Wolves are going to take 2 from Memphis in Memphis, but I guess we'll see tomorrow night. But either way, this is going to be a very exciting game tomorrow night. Fast-paced offense is coming at you.
Yeah, no doubt. I do think that if the Timberwolves want to win this series, they have to win both at home. And both home games, I don't think Memphis is going to lose another game at home this series. I think they learned their lesson in Game 1. And Minnesota, power to them. They came out flying. Towns and Edwards were perfect. They won the rebounding battle 46-35 in Memphis. And I just don't think Memphis with Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson Jr. will allow that rebounding battle to be so lopsided.
The Milwaukee Bucks fought off a Chicago Bulls comeback by a final of 93-86 over the weekend. The Bulls hoisted 14 more field goals courtesy of 21 Milwaukee turnovers, but shots just weren't falling as DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Nikola Vucevic shot a combined 21 of 71. Giannis went for 27 and 16 as the Bucks picked up the opening game of the series. Zach, what did you see from both teams in this game?
I think the best thing about this Milwaukee team is their ability on the defensive side of the ball. They are so lethal there, and having Giannis and Drew Holiday there, 2 players that are known for getting Defensive Player of the Year awards, it is just absolutely perfect. It's going to be low-scoring games this entire series, and now they can only hold Chicago for so long, though. I think DeMar DeRozan will get his points in these games, but they were out-rebounded by 5, Chicago, and lost points in the paint by 10. They can't win this series that way.
Yeah, I think the points off turnovers has to be higher. If Milwaukee's turning the ball over 21 times. There were multiple times in this game where the Bulls tried to get out in transition, either slowed it up or just weren't quite able to convert a bucket. The points off turnovers, especially when the other team has 20-plus turnovers, needs to be higher. And the Bulls having a slower shooting night from Vucevic, DeRozan, and LaVine, it's not going to happen often, so the Bucks kind of got lucky turning it over 21 times, still getting a win.
The Miami Heat absolutely dominated the Atlanta Hawks in a 115-91 rout in Game 1 on Sunday afternoon. It was the Duncan Robinson game, dropping 27 while shooting 90% from the field and 8 for 9 from 3. Hawks All-Star Trae Young scored just 8 points on 1 of 12 shooting for Atlanta. Joey, is this the perfect game plan from Miami to finish this series quickly?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. And just watching this game, it reminded me of that Duncan Robinson 2020 kind of NBA playoff bubble kind of vibe when he was just going crazy in there. And when you add in the depth perception at an actual NBA arena, the fact that a guy can go 8 for 9 just speaks really, it's a testament to how good of a shooter the Michigan product is. First off, Duncan Robinson going crazy like that, holding the other team with Trae Young to single-digit points is obviously a testament to the defense. A 25-point win really isn't something I was expecting from a Hawks team that usually lives up for these playoff games, but a very impressive win from the Heat nonetheless.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to help. And holding Trae Young to 1 field goal, that's perfect defense, if you ask me. John Collins isn't healthy. Neither is Clint Capella. Hunter and Herter are not really traditional second guys. I think Miami really locked down this series once all those injuries happen. Once Capella's out, it's a complete domination down low.
We're going to take a quick break right here on Stick to Sports, but up next, we take a look at more series in the NBA and check in on the MLB season. Stay tuned here on WTOP 10.
Only on WTOP.
DeCarlo on the rebound! Alex DeCarlo! Yeah, it's been a wild game so far. A lot of high scoring, so definitely tighten it up and play out that full 60 minutes.
Welcome back to the best show on WTOP 10, out on our own Oswego.
Did you hear that Bad Bunny's going to be in Canada over spring break, you know?
I heard that one.
Drink a cognac. The week.
Roll it.
The Kinda Late Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty.
The thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think you're wrong, is what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of time.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. The Golden State Warriors were pouring it in against the Denver Nuggets Saturday night, going 16 of 35 from behind the arc and shooting over 52% from the field. Jordan Poole dumped in 30 points in a playoff debut that saw him shoot over 65% from the field, three and the free throw line. Zach, what do you think was the difference maker in this Warriors win?
It was just more firepower from the Warriors. And Curry, Thompson, Draymond, Poole, and Wiggins against Jokic. That's really it. No offense to the Nuggets, but it's just Jokic there. And Jokic got into foul trouble. and they were in trouble, the Nuggets, in this one. They can't stop the three ball as well, and we saw 4 straight three-pointers from the Warriors in that highlight. It's unbelievable what they can do from three-point land, and the amount of options they have. It's going to be way too difficult for Jokic and the Nuggets.
Yeah, I mean, it's an entire different animal in the NBA playoffs. In the regular season, you can have one guy carry you to some wins here and there, and really for a good amount of games in the season. You get into the NBA playoffs, defenses start scheming, and when the defenses really start to ramp up and every single game matters, focusing in on one guy becomes so much easier. This Nuggets team, without Jamal Murray, I mean, Will Barton went for about 20 points, but Nikola Jokic had an outstanding game, but he's not going to beat Steph, Klay, and Jordan Poole. Steph and Klay weren't even the leading scorers for this team. Jordan Poole just went crazy. The Phoenix Suns picked up an 110-99 win over the New Orleans Pelicans in the final game of the NBA playoffs opening weekend. The Pelicans were plus 20 in the rebound margin, but Brandon Ingram, C.J. McCollum, and Jonas Valanciunas had an inefficient night as the trio shot 35% from the field. It was a much different night for the Phoenix three-headed monster as Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton were combined 60% from the field. Zach, do you see the Pelicans being able to fix their shooting issues, or is this a series Phoenix is going to dominate?
I think the Pelicans will be able to fix their shooting issues because they have guys like McCollum and Ingram that just hit shots while they're sleeping. It's unbelievable what they can do. But Phoenix is just way too good. This is a team that they're a great team at home. They're even better on the road. So once they go to New Orleans, I think this series is over. It might be a sweep just based on the amount of firepower off the bench and just the talent that this Phoenix Suns team has.
Yeah, I like this Pelicans team with McCollum and Ingram, but these are two younger guys who are still really getting their feet wet in terms of NBA playoff experience. The Suns are one of the best veteran leaders in the game in Chris Paul. This is a very difficult team to knock off, and I think the Suns are definitely going to take the series. The Philadelphia 76ers dominated the Toronto Raptors in Game 2 of their opening round series tonight by a final of 112-97, courtesy of 31 points from Joel Embiid and 26 points at the free throw line. Tonight's win follows a 20-point Philly win from Saturday night that featured Tyrese Maxey going for 38. Zach, how shocked are you the Sixers have been handling the Raptors so easily?
I was really surprised in Game 1. Really not that surprised after Game 2 that we just saw tonight. And it was just the Sixers in Game 1. They completely locked down Frank VanVleet. That was the key to that one. And obviously the injury to Scotty Barnes, I don't think there's too much of a shot for the Raptors if they don't have Scotty Barnes. He does so many things on the offensive end and defensive end. The Sixers, it's been pretty easy so far for them.
Yeah, I mean, this Sixers series kind of just reminds me of what we were talking about with the Warriors, with Steph and Klay really taking a backseat to Jordan Poole. In that opening game, we saw Embiid and Harden really take a backseat to Tyrese Maxey. The depth in the NBA playoffs is so important. I mean, Embiid stepping up tonight, Maxey in Game 1. The Philly crowd's been going nuts in both these two first games. I'm not that shocked, but still, with Embiid and Harden, they're one of my favorites to win the title.
Moving over to the MLB, the New York Yankees are 5-5 to start the season. The Yankees are coming off a really bad series in Baltimore where they lost 2 games in a 3-game set to the Orioles. The series finished yesterday with the Orioles putting up a 5 spot in the 8th inning in a 5-0 win. The bats are completely cold right now with just 4 hits yesterday and 1 or 0 runs in 2 of the last 3 games. Joey, a series against the Tigers starting tomorrow. What needs to change for these Yankees?
Zach, it seems about everyone that pays attention to the Yankees has a solution to the issues besides the people that actually call the shots with the Yankees. Whether it be guys not being everyday starters, mixing around the lineup, mixing around where guys bat in the lineup, just really not allowing guys to get into a rhythm, whether it be defensively a certain spot in the lineup, not really having a solid contact hitter off the top. I mean, it's been these same issues for a few years now, and just to put the icing on the cake too, the Orioles Twitter sending shots and saying the Yankees losing the series, the Lakers missed the playoffs, and it's a tough time right now for Yankee fans.
Yeah, they deserved it. The lineup is the problem. They can't keep changing the lineup every 2 days. Rizzo's out with an injury one day. Stanton gets a day off. Judge gets a day off. Hicks bats first one day. Players need to get comfortable in their spots in the lineup. On the other side of New York, the feelings are a lot different as the New York Mets are 7-3 to start the season. The Mets are coming off a 5-0 win against the Diamondbacks yesterday. The pitching has been the story for New York, with the ERA of the rotation at 1.07 through the first 10 games. Joey, we've seen the Mets start the season hot in recent years and fall off around July. Is this year different from the others?
Zach, I'm very torn on this one. I think this is a difficult question. Just usually it's the Mets are going to fall off the table, but they're going to get stronger as the year goes on when Jacob deGrom comes back. Keep in mind, this is a team that really, in terms of injury, there's still room for it, but bringing deGrom back with Tyler McGill being their opening day starter and losing Marcus Stroman in the offseason, not having deGrom and Scherzer 100% to start the season, I didn't think they were going to get off to this out of a start, but this rotation's been shoving to start the season.
Yeah, I think this year is going to be different. It's just as long as everyone stays healthy. Without Scherzer and deGrom, their pitching staff is somehow unstoppable right now. That's a great sign to start the season. The Boston Red Sox have also started their season at 5-5 after splitting a 4-game set against the Minnesota Twins this weekend. The series ended with a Twins 8-3 win earlier today behind Jorge Polanco's homer and 4 RBIs. Tanner Houck and Michael Wacha were both dominant in their starts for the Sox on Saturday and Sunday, allowing a combined 0 earned runs. Joey, will the Red Sox make it back to the playoffs?
I think these are two teams that are going to be in the playoffs, between the Twins and the Red Sox. I have them both being towards the top of their divisions this year. I mean, Tanner Houck's an absolute dog just going this weekend. Michael Wacha, kind of a vengeance tour with the Red Sox this year. But Jorge Polanco, too, he's the guy you got to look out for with the Twins in this deep lineup. But these are two teams I have making the playoffs this year.
Again, it's way too early, and we did this last week. But it's going to be hard in a division with the Rays, the Blue Jays, the Yankees. There's not too much room for error for this Red Sox team. And the Red Sox will make noise, but I think their pitching will come back to haunt them in the end. We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, Joey will be joined by Ben Diamond. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Stick to Sports.
Athletics. Aaron, there were 6 big points. This is the one you've been waiting for. This group has never beaten Cortland.
Getting started with some men's soccer as the Lakers had 2 conference matchups for
Half of the Lakers' goals this entire season.
Offense is key. You talked all about scoring goals.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
For the governor race with a strong lead, former Governor Andrew Cuomo is...
Barlow announced the completion of a large building mural in downtown Oswego.
The renovations on the Hewitt Union Building, turning it into the new Hewitt Hall.
And as we move into tomorrow, that rain is going to be in our area.
Moving to the Diamond now, as Sweet Caroline got a lot sweeter last night.
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
We've been marinating chicken in all sorts of liquids for 24 hours. These are vitamins and minerals and things that you need, nutrients. The chicken speedy is a staple of our culture.
It's time for the fast break. Joining me now is Ben Diamond, one of our producers. Ben, what do you have for us tonight?
In Japan, we're going international for this one, Joey. In Japan, a 20-year-old pitching phenom, Roki Sasaki, has put on a show in his last 2 starts for the Chiba Lotte Marines. Last week, Sasaki struck out 19 batters in the first MPB perfect game in 28 years. Then this week, he almost did it again, going 8 perfect innings before being pulled versus the Nippon Ham Fighters. He struck out 14 batters. The Marines would go on to lose the game in the 10th inning, and after the game, the Fighters manager said Sasaki was just too tough. Now, Joey, after these displays of unhittable pitching, how long do you think it takes before the MLB catches on and he then try to take a shot at him? And who do you think needs him most?
Ben, the one thing just with him being a younger guy and being a pitcher rather than a hitter is I think an MLB team might take a chance on him sooner after a few more solid starts, just considering the fact that he's putting the wear on the arm. If it's a hitter rather than a pitcher, you might let him develop a bit more, but you need his arm for as long as you can get it. In terms of where he would go, Shohei Ohtani's hometown in Japan is only an hour and a half from him. So with what Ohtani's been doing recently, that comparison kind of automatically comes to mind. But when you think of a Japanese player coming to America and kind of dealing with culture shock kind of things and things of that sort, Ohtani's town is 5 times bigger than Sasaki's. So you might look for Sasaki to go to a little bit of a smaller market team, kind of maybe like a Seattle kind of thing. We'll see, but I hope an MLB team gets on him soon because these first couple starts have been unbelievable.
Yeah, MLB teams have already started scouting him, I saw doing research, and I feel that the Angels with Shohei, there already is a big Japanese market there, and I think they could still use his arm because they need pitching. Cleveland Browns cornerback Denzel Ward has signed a record 5-year deal to stay with the team. The deal is worth $100.5 million with $71.25 million guaranteed and makes Ward the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. Ward is only 24 years old, so the Browns have locked down their star corner for the foreseeable future. Do you like this move, Joey?
Yeah, originally I didn't, but thinking about it more, the more I think about it, the more I do. When you think about this division and having to go up against guys like Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow for the next 15, 20 years, having a rock-solid cornerback as well as Myles Garrett and Deshaun Watson on the team, the Browns are really building the young core of this team to start off. And I mean, just talking about him being the highest paid cornerback in NFL history, he's probably not the best NFL cornerback in history when you think of guys like Darrelle Revis and things of that sort, but just with guys being paid more now than ever, if he's one of the top cornerbacks in the game, yeah, I think he's deserving of the money the Browns are going to give him.
Yeah, in his short career so far, he's already been named the Pro Bowler 2 times, and in his last season, 15 games, 34 solo tackles, 3 interceptions, and only just over 100 yards allowed as a cornerback. That's pretty good in today's standards when a lot of players are getting bashed on for letting up too many yards.
Yeah, Ward's definitely a special young talent, and to lock him up until he's about 30 years old with this young core in this tough division, big move for the Browns.
Byron Buxton, a top talent in the MLB when healthy, has gone down with another injury. The Minnesota Twins center fielder injured his knee on Friday versus the Boston Red Sox. Although his MRI came back clean, Buxton is still slated to miss a week to recover. Buxton signed a big 7-year deal with the Twins during the winter, but with his lengthy injury history, do you think that the pros outweigh the cons?
Yeah, Ben, well, you see it right there with 2018, 134 games, 2019 missed 75, and 2021 missed 101. This does seem to be not such a big injury considering it's not a structural tear of any kind as ACL, MCL. It is a knee injury, but it seems to be a week off, really no massive damage. But signing a guy to a 7-year deal that's missed the majority of 2 of the past 3 seasons seems to be an interesting move from the Twins, but when healthy, yeah, he can be a franchise player, but somewhere along the way, you got to think about how injury-prone a guy is when he's missing such significant time like that.
Yeah, every injury he sustains worries me because it's something different, I feel, every time, whether it's his knee or it's hip or it's his wrist. And he has a lot of talent to be a top 10 player, but he hasn't played enough in an entire season to really make that argument yet. And we thought this year could be that. But after this, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we will wait and see, Ben. We'll take a quick break here on Stick to Sports. Thanks again to Ben for the fast break. When we come back, Zach and I will be going through our best bets and what to watch for. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Stick to Sports right here on WTOP 10.
The Kinda Late Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty.
The thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think
can't.
you're wrong, is what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of times.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
Look at that. It's so sad.
Here's our weather elements. Again, we're supposed to be on Saturday.
And that's optional.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. My What to Watch this week comes in the NHL with 7 teams fighting for 4 remaining playoff spots in the Western Conference. In the Central Division, the Stars and Predators are in wildcard spots as we speak after the Blues, Wild, and Avalanche clinch playoff berths already. In the Pacific Division, 4 teams are fighting for spots with the Oilers and Kings sitting in the 2 and 3 seed. The Vegas Golden Knights and Vancouver Canucks are trying to stay in the race as the 4th and 5th seed in the Pacific. The Eastern Conference is already set, barring a few changes in seeding, but it is almost time for playoff hockey. These last 2 weeks should be a lot of fun in the West.
Yeah, exactly. So plenty of question marks around it. What are you watching right now? Are you more of a NHL end of the regular season or the NBA postseason?
Once it gets to the NHL playoffs, then I'll be ready to go for the NHL playoffs. But the NBA, you gotta wait a little bit, and well, you can't wait a little bit. Excuse me. The NBA playoffs, you'll watch it now, and once the NHL comes, then you'll watch that.
My What to Watch this week is not only one of the most anticipated series of the NBA playoffs first round, but what was by far the most entertaining Game 1 we saw this weekend. The Brooklyn Nets head to the TD Garden for Game 2 against the Celtics Wednesday. Then the series heads to the Barclays Center for Game 3 on Saturday. For this time of year, it's insane how much is still unknown about the Nets, considering Kyrie and KD have only played 17 of the team's 82 games together. But one thing that is known is the ceiling of this team is astronomically high. On the Celtics end of things, you have a guy in Jason Tatum that's been compared to the late, great Kobe Bryant for years, and the Defensive Player of the Year in Marcus Smart. Game 1 was an electric atmosphere at the Garden and an unreal game. Add in Kyrie's issues with the Celtics and their fans. This series is definition of must-watch.
No doubt, and it's gonna be great to watch Game 2, and as the Nets try and counter now. Like I said before, they need KD and Kyrie to both go off in a game if they want to win the rest of the games in this series. Now moving over to our best bets. For my best bet, I'm looking at Game 2 between the Memphis Grizzlies and Minnesota Timberwolves. I understand the Wolves won Game 1, but I'm sorry, there's absolutely no chance they win Game 2. I'm going to the absolute wagon. That is Grizzlies spread, which sits at -7. Memphis is the best team in the NBA against the spread this season, with 5 more covers than any other team. This game won't be close. Memphis needs a win badly, and they're going to cover. Lock it in. Grizzlies -7 in Game 2 tomorrow night at 8:30.
Zach, I'm real excited for that game. Going to be a lot of offense in that game and from both teams as well. My best bet this week is the over on Kyrie Irving's points in Game 2 of the Nets-Celtics series at TD Garden. Game 1, the line was set at 27.5, so I'd assume the Game 2 line is going to be somewhere around there. Kyrie's been balling as of late. Since April 1st, the Duke product has gone for 30 or more points in 4 of his 6 games, including 39 in Game 1 of the series. In case you didn't watch Game 1 of the series, Celtics fans were letting Kyrie hear it. He was not only giving it back, but he was absolutely balling out as well. On top of his weekend outing at the Garden, Kyrie went for 37 at the Garden Christmas Day 2020. When it's a big occasion at his old stomping grounds, he goes crazy. Take the over on Kyrie's points for Game 2 at the TD Garden. Regardless of what the line is at, he'll show out.
It's going to be interesting to watch those. That's a good one, Joey. I like it. That's all the time we have on this episode of Stick to Sports. Be sure to tune in for our NFL Draft Special next week right here on WTOP 10.